Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to finish off the opera from One Night in Karazhan with our heroic super guide for the Crone. Now, the Crone is not too challenging. You have the tools you need to stop her from killing Dorothy by getting to spawn minions on the right. Things like Muster for Battle are great because they put up a bunch of turns to slow down her minions from being able to get to what would kill you. And to take her down quickly, you can spawn aggressive minions on the left. Things like Wind Fury, things with Death Rattle that you can march into something, then the creature that spawns from the Death Rattle gets to attack with charge as well, etc. The only thing that makes it the tiniest but challenging is that generally on turn 8, I think she's pre-programmed to draw Twisting Nether. She will Twisting Nether you and then be able to instantly kill you with her hero power. Now there's a couple of ways of getting around this for a turn, extending your life a little. Obviously there's things like Ice Block, you can put something like Ancestral Spirit on Dorothy, you can Loatheb, stuff like that. But in general, you just want to build super aggressive decks that can take advantage of the charge to kill her before turn 8. That's generally what you're striving to do. So all these decks are sort of zoo decks thrown in with Wind Fury and stuff like that. But they're all trying to just zoo her down while protecting Dorothy. Priesthood is one of the more fun ones because with Divine Spirit in a fire combos, you can build up a huge Dorothy to actually kill her with Dorothy. But other than that, they're just aggressive things trying to kill her as quickly as possible, kill her before turn 8. Let's look at the specific decks I use to achieve that. For Druid, I use the Innovate Astral Communion combo, which nowadays you'd replace with Wild Growth Astral Communion. The idea is if you can get something massive out, like Yasharaj, you're just going to get so many big minions out with high attack that you can kill her in no time. In recent times, Ultimate Infestations make it into the list, of course. Tarantuses, you can either charge with that, or put it up as a big taunt that'll take her forever to get through. Coon, Aviana combo lets you put down just a ton of stuff potentially. Blood of the Ancient Ones, which you can also get out and form. The Faceless one, the Ancient One, sorry, will be doing 30 damage to her. You have just big things to take her down very quickly, but obviously you're reliant on getting that early draw where you actually can play Astral Communion as quickly as possible, and then draw decently enough to get out a ton of big things that will kill her very quickly. With Hunter, I started going with the zoo type of decks. You want to, form things that immediately have Wind Fury charge, essentially. Freezing Trap, slow her down. Kindly Grandmothers, you can trade into something, then have the 3-2 attack. Mad Scientist, Scavenging Hyenas, if you combo this with Unleash or just have things to kill off, you can get a huge charger immediately hitting her for a lot of damage, and things like Snake Traps help with that as well, and Eaglehorn Bows to give you lots of charges to keep hitting her for sort of an additional 3 per turn. Otherwise, you're just looking to, Savannah Highmane, you play with charge, pretty frickin' sweet as well. You're just looking to zoo her down, get out a lot of minions quickly, be hitting her in the face a lot, and beat her before turn 8. Tempo Mage is trying to do a similar thing. You're trying to, in an ideal world, get Flamewaker off with a lot of cheap spells, which you can make even cheaper with Sorcerer's Apprentice, and then throw some Arcane Missiles, Mirror Images, etc., buff up some Mana Worms. Again, the fact that these things can have charge as you play them is pretty ridiculous. In Hanzo Meccano, once you do have a board, to try get Wind Furies to speed up finishing her off, as you have the Fireballs and Fireland Portals to give you some burst at the end as well. Dudes protect Dorothy. So the nice thing about summoning a lot of creatures with things like Muster for Battle and Stand Against Darkness is they spawn on the right and gives you a lot of tiny taunts that will protect Dorothy enough while you try to do bigger things to kill her. So Nerubian Egg and Devilsaur Egg, great things to put up and immediately be able to activate them with taunts, so when those get killed, you have 4/4s and 5/5s doing a ton of damage as well. In Hanzo Meccano, again, looking for Wind Furies, Light Fuse Stegodons, and Quartermasters looking to buff up the bunch of dudes you can form. We do put in a Loatheb here to be able to buy us 1 extra turn by stopping her Twisting Nether, so you want to play this right into her turn 8. We do have the Mysterious Challenger with Secrets combo to just give you a bit of protection and buff up your board more. Competitive Spirit, obviously, if you do have several things on your board, can help take her down quickly. Tarim to do the same on all your little dudes, buff them up, and a Dino Size to help act as a finisher when you just need that extra bit of damage on turn 7. Like I said at the beginning, Priest is one of the more fun ones to try beat her with, because you can try, double, buff her with a bunch of health, double Divine Spirit, Inner Fire, to smash her with Dorothy. As you can see in the screenshot, an example of doing just this. So we have things to give her extra health buffs like Dark Cultist, Cabal Talon Priest, and a lot of things to just help you draw through your deck. Loot Hoarders, Novice Engineers, Runic Eggs even. Remember, you're giving those Taunt as immediate, activating them immediately to give you the card draw, and protecting Dorothy. So you're looking to just protect her while you sort of play things that draw you cards on the right, and then eventually be able to, even have Cold Lights to ensure you get more card draw. Eventually buff her up to massive proportions and smash the Crone with Dorothy herself for the win. With Rogue, I went mostly all in, as I often do against heroic bosses, with Questing Adventurer Edwin Van Cleef kind of build. Again, we have the eggs to immediately activate them by giving them Taunt on the right. And that can give you protection to, again, getting a Questing Adventurer out with charge where you can play a bunch of preps, counterfeit coins, backstabs, etc. Is just ridiculous. Vicious Fledgling, being able to give a charge immediately to start hitting the face and adapting, is absolutely bonkers. Scalemancer is also another nice one, because you can automatically activate this as a taunter on the right that protects Dorothy, and you have an 8/8 that comes out that's able to smash for additional damage. For Shaman, I went all in on the theme of Wind Fury. So we even run Dust Devils, but get that out on turn 1, it's already doing 6 damage. Tunnel Trogs, given you do have these cards with Overload potentially. Flame Tongue Totems, obviously a very natural thing to help push for a bunch more damage. We have the Nerubian Egg again. The Primal Fin Totem can keep spawning taunts again to help you slow her down. We're obviously going to run Doomhammer for the Wind Fury. Whirling Zap-O-Matics, the same theme. The other egg of Devil's Saw Egg. Vicious Fledgling, again, amazing to give this immediate charge. Grim Necromancers summon a lot of things to help you out there. Scalemancers, we actually put 2 in this time to immediately taunt them up and get some 8/8s. Things from below will give us cheap ways of doing even more damage. This has built-in taunt, so you just play it on the left. It also has charge, potentially for very cheap. A very aggressive deck that can take her down quickly. And my original instinct, of course, when thinking of this Zoo style of aggressive deck, is to go with the original class that did Zoo the best, Warlock. Forbidden Ritual, as we've talked about, just summoning minions on the right gives you lots of little taunters to give you time while protecting Dorothy to just be hitting face a lot with, your cheap minions. Flame Imps, Abusive Sergeants to buff them up, Power Overwhelmings, and a Soulfire for tons of burst. Leroy Jenkins for extra burst. Arguses to buff things up with taunt while charging itself. Imp Gang bosses, you can charge that into something and still have 1/1s march into things. A classic Zoo deck that just is about killing her and killing her fast. There's even a Crazed Alchemist, which can be a nice, if you do manage to buff Dorothy with something like Direwolf Alpha, you can, and she still has a bunch of health, you can Crazed Alchemist her without killing her to provide an extra burst of quite a bit towards the end. If you're really, if you just need to get in that final burst of damage on turn 7. For Warrior, I managed to get in an all-golden deck, which is essentially an aggressive pirate warrior. You have Nizar's First Mate, pulling patches, your small-time buccaneers, etc. Your weapons, your ship cannons to do a bunch of extra damage thanks to that. Frothing Berserkers, which you can play on the left and have charge right before you do a bunch of advantageous trading and can start hitting her for a lot immediately. Vicious Fledgling again gets charge immediately. Dread Corsairs do, which is nice. Loatheb to buy you an extra turn by playing this into her turn 8. And another nice little addition is Rampagers, because once Dorothy does start taking damage, you can A, buff her health so you're less likely to die, and give her an ability to start doing damage to the Crone herself to add to your damage pool to beat her in time. Our final challenge was defeating the Crone with a deck of basic and common cards only. It's tricky getting in enough burst damage at the speed, but we went with Druid just because it has a lot of ways to buff your board very quickly to have a powerful board that's doing a ton of damage that are common cards, between Mark of the Lotus, Mark of Yasharaj. You can play a bunch of creatures quickly, which we include the Innovates for as well. You want to get a bunch of creatures out, immediately buff them, and then you have a solid board to just start doing a ton of damage going to face. We're just looking to spawn as many creatures as possible. Egg Nappers are nice, and we have the Scalemancers as well for sort of extra protection to put a taunt in the way, protect Dorothy, and get those 8/8s out. Piloted Shredders, great value, obviously, etc. We have, quite a few things with Death Rattle, so they can charge, and even the minions that spawn charge, or have taunts if you're just trying to protect Dorothy, etc. Turned out this was quick enough, as you can see in the screenshot. We did manage to beat Dorothy in heroic. Beat the Crone in heroic mode with a deck of basic and common cards only. If you're looking for a budget deck, go ahead with this. If you have more access to cards, the Crone is not a boss where you need super overpowered legendaries or anything. You basically just need to build a zoo deck, taking advantage of the cards you do have to give you very quick avenues to beat her before turn 8. Good luck out there if you're still trying it. See you next time.